Happy Chinese New Year everyone! Welcome to Kaiser channel. This video will be talking about the comparison between the Xia and old Gundam. Well, not quite. If you read the title, you already know that we'll be comparing between the metal build and also the Gundam Fix Figuration metal composite. Both are Bandai's product line. Throughout the years, I do get a number of requests to do this and I myself would like to know as well. Now Gundam comes in all forms and sizes depending on which series you're talking about, so in order to control some of the variables, what will be better than having the Xia from the metal build and also the old Gundam from the Gundam Fix for this purpose, as they're both from the same anime series. What this means is that if there's any difference, it will be most likely due to the difference between the metal build and also the Gundam Fix. Now this old Gundam is actually a second hand, so a lot of joints are very loose. So I'm not going to compare the joints between this and also the Xia because I have no idea where this looseness is actually originally like this or it's caused by the predecessor who owns this. So it's going to be unfair to compare the two on this aspect. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So right in front of you, just from the look, you can tell the old Gundam is actually half a head taller than the Xia. But in the story, the Xia is actually taller than the old Gundam by 30 centimeters. So obviously, you know that the Gundam Fix is actually slightly bigger than the metal build. Other than the height, you can see that in general, the old Gundam is bigger and also bulkier than the Xia. While the Xia is nice and slim, and there's actually a lot more design to it. Now I do not have the scales with me to measure it, but just from the feel, both the weight is almost the same. As for the metal component, as you can see, the metal build Xia, with the exception of the neck and the head, it's basically a metal structure from top to bottom. However, for the old Gundam, it's very different. The first we can see is that the shoulder joints, it's definitely a metal that you can tilt forward that helps the arms move just a little better. The other metal component is where the hips are, which are quite difficult to see, but it's there for the legs to move. And lastly is the little ball joint on the feet is metal, but every other joint such as the elbow and also the knee are plastic. Now it seems that there's very little metal components for the entire machines for the old Gundam, but like I mentioned before, it weighs just about the same as Xia. So the question would be, where's the rest of the metal components? Well, I accidentally took it in half and found that the top half of the body is empty, as you can see right now. So the rest of the weight will be on the lower half of the body. Although you can't see it, it most likely would be on the lower leg. The good thing about this design is that you won't have to be scared that it will tip over like most of the metal build does, as the center of gravity is pretty low on this. The bad point is obviously you will feel kind of ripped off given that the top half of the body is hollowed. As for the gimmicks, there's actually quite a lot in the Xia, but I'm only going through the ones that the old Gundam has and compared to those because the Xia, as you know, has an extra set of armors that you can change into, so we'll totally exclude that. First in the Xia, you can actually take out the GN drive from the main body, revealing the inner details within the body. And I thought the same can be done with the old Gundam as well. Unfortunately, we got a even greater disappointment, which is, as you can see, if you try to take it off, it actually takes off the entire backpack, leaving a very flat back to it. And you can interchange the entire backpack with a GN condenser part, which honestly, it's not what I expected in terms of details to be this low. If this old Gundam was actually designed by Metal Build, obviously you will see that there's going to be a inner details that you can have the GN drive to be taken out and replaced by the GN condenser, just like the Xia would. But instead, this is what we got for the old Gundam. So this means the Gundam Fix Figuration is actually quite low on details. Second, for the beam saber handle, the Xia has these holes in it so that you can put the beam effects onto it. But for the old Gundam handles, it's actually the other way around. It has the point stick out to connect to the beam effect, which honestly, it doesn't really look great with that little point sticking out. As for the beam rifle and shield, there's actually isn't much to it for the old Gundam, just as a rifle and shield without any gimmicks to it. Unlike the Xia, you can actually swing it out for the rifle and also the shield can be popped out. Finally, for the hands, the metal build ones are ones with holes in them so that you can connect to the little pole that connects to the arm, and the wrist on it actually rotates. However, as for the Gundam Fix, all the hands has the little ball joints that relies on that to turn off all the wrist. As a result, both of the movements are relatively the same. As for the stand, the metal build always comes with a somewhat square base followed by an adjustable arm for mid-air display. As for the Gundam Fix, it's usually a long rectangular base, and in this old Gundam case, there's actually no supporting arms that connects to the body. So it's just a one flat plastic with text on it, which is really simple and doesn't really serve any purpose. And that's it with the comparison. So basically, the Gundam Fix is so much more inferior than the metal build that we can totally forget about it, right? Well, no. You see, indeed the older Gundam Fix is incomparable to the metal build, but ever since the Wing Gundam serial release, a lot of the issues that I showed you just now has greatly improved. Now, I don't have one myself, so I rely heavily from what I see on other people's review, is that if you take a look on the Wing Zero Snow White version, you see that all the joints are now metal. Not to mention that a lot of areas like the shoulder joints and the hip joints are much more apparent with their metal components. Design-wise has definitely improved greatly, and you now have the movable knee gimmicks just like we have seen with the metal bit for some time already. Even the stance now has the adjustable supporting arm that is very similar to the metal build one. Although I really can't say much about the quality, but definitely they are getting closer to metal build style with each release. In addition, throughout my research, I've noticed some of the difference to their product lines, and I'll boil down to these points. Number 1, for Gundam Fix Metal Composite, preferably get the ones released after the first Wing Zero edition, which is the EV version, as they have greatly improved in a lot of areas unless you want to have something like the old Gundam which I just showed. Number 2, Gundam Fix usually follows the UC timeline with the exception of the Wing Gundams, and not particularly on Gundams only. They also released it a lot of Zakus as well, while the metal build only releases Gundams and has been recently mostly on Seed series and also the 00 series, but it's not set to a particular Gundam series. Number 3, Gundam Fix usually follows how it looks in the story and doesn't have any special coloring release unlike the metal build. While the metal build will have some reimagined design that will make the product look even cooler and greater, and will also release certain recoloring that is not even in the story, like the Soul Blue and Red. Number 4, Gundam Fix doesn't have any option set, so what you buy is what you get. This is both a good thing and also a bad thing for both sides. Good thing for the Gundam Fix is that you don't have to spend extra money on the option set, nor do you have to frantically go everywhere just to pre-order the option set. Being that said, the bad thing is that it does not have the flexibility to mix some special look like the metal build can, such as getting 2 sword striker option set and make it into a full sword striker, which is not in the anime. In conclusion, if you want a decent product without the need of worrying about an option set or a limited edition recoloring or even non-Gundams, then Gundam Fix Figuration Metal Composite will be your choice, but you definitely have to get the ones after the Wing Zero EV version release, because the later product is a lot closer to metal build style. On the contrary, if you want to have more play value of all the options set and the flexibility that comes with it, but is susceptible with the cost, then obviously metal build will be your choice. But you have to fight your way to get your hands on them because of damn resellers. As for myself, I mainly focus on the metal build and I haven't got a single Gundam Fix Figuration other than this to show you guys. But after doing research for this video makes me want to get the Snow White Wing Zero version, as it is absolutely beautiful, so definitely I'll try to get one that's affordable. And that's it with today's video. If you have any comments or points that you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below, but please be polite, that's all I'm asking from you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it and find it useful. And as always, please support me by hitting that like button and also subscribe to my channel for more videos. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.